What is up, y'all? So I just want to share a quick story with you guys about an adventure that I was on today. I was driving home from a showing in Surrey, and I was driving back to my place, and it was like a two-way street, and sometimes, you know how the right lane someone will stop to parallel park, and it'll hold up the whole right lane of the traffic, and I was in the left lane. So I was just cruising, and then I turned into the right lane after, once I got around the person parallel parking, and kind of pulled out in front of this truck who was stopped. And I don't know if he thought I cut him off or whatever. For those of you who know me, I drive, well, first of all, I drive a grandpa's car, but I also drive like a grandpa. And I probably gave the guy about 20 or 30 feet. And he also wasn't moving when I turned into his lane. Anyways, he must have thought, for whatever reason, obviously not having a good day, that I cut him off or something, because once the car parked, he then hit the gas, got up right on my ass, and was driving like 6 inches off my bumper. And then, as you do, I just kind of hit the brakes a little bit to be like, okay, buddy, like, chill out. And then he didn't stop, and then we get up to a red light, and there's a bunch of cars in front, and I stop, and he actually drives up, goes slow, gets right behind me, and then hits me on purpose. And I put the car in park. Like, it wasn't a big hit, but he fucking hit me, and I put the car in park, and there's probably like 20 cars behind him and 10 cars in front. Like, the road's packed. I get out of my car and thinking about a billion things going through my head about this guy. As I get out of the car and go back, and I'm walking towards the truck, and if this would have been me for 5 years ago, I legit would have pulled this guy out of the truck and punched him in the nose. Like, that legit would have happened. Might have got beat up, but that would have for sure happened. I was thinking this the entire time, and then as I kind of got out of my car, I just went and I checked my bumper, which is hilarious because my car I do not care about it. It's old, and his truck was a lot nicer. And I just looked to see if there's any damage, and there wasn't. And then I just walked up, and his window was down, and I just looked at him, and then I just got back in my car. Anyways, couple points about this story. First one being this program I'm on, how it really is life-changing in the sense of self-awareness, in the sense of how I reacted to something like this, which some people might be pretty good with reacting to something like that already. I never was. That was always something for me, like, just something that I really had to spend a lot of time to focus on to learn. And just the fact of how I reacted, or how I didn't react, I should say, even better, is really made me think about how far kind of I've come in that case. I don't get hot-headed for no reason, but if someone is actually going to go out of their way like that to literally hit me and, you know, potentially threatens me in that sense, then I turn into a completely different person. However, in this case, I was able to just stay completely reserved, which I was fired up for quite a bit after it happened. Still, it took me a while to calm down, but still, the fact that I didn't react. And that is solely based on this program and kind of what I've been going through and the training I've been doing with just everything in that sense. It also made me think of a few key points that I've been talking to with about a few different people recently. One of them last night was just how I was having a conversation with a friend when we were out, and we were talking about how, and I'm sure you guys have heard me say this before, but if someone is kind of pissed off, or they're not happy, or they do something shitty to you, 90% of the time it has nothing to do with you. This is a great example of that, because I did not cut this guy off. Like, he clearly knew that. He was just being like, you know, this type of person or whatever. But in a situation like that is when you really live by that saying, where, you know, you need to be nice to people in these situations. And that is definitely the hardest thing that you can ever do, is to show compassion to someone in a situation like that. But it is important we do that, because these are the people, who knows what this guy is going through or whatever. And that did come in my mind as I was walking towards the truck, and I thought, you know what, we just talked about this. So that is something that I've been thinking about a lot and talking about, you know, for the past year or so. So that is one point, is that just when people are doing these kinds of things, just showing compassion in the hardest times possible. And another thing is not letting other people take your happiness, or, you know, have control over the way that you feel. And this is also a great point, because, you know, I could have let this thing fire me up the whole day, but it was really just, you know, a thing where people are going to do shitty stuff all the time, a lot of people, and it's always going to happen. And it always, you know, and we hear this all the time, where it's all about how you react to things. Shitty things are going to happen to you in your life, and it just comes down to how you react. And again, this is one of those things where this guy was clearly trying to start something, whether it was to bring me to his level, and, you know, it just wasn't a place that I was willing to go. And that's, you know, how we react to these types of things when they happen is super important. But the whole point of it is, you know, we talk about these things, but when it actually happens, you know, you flip back to this person who completely throws all that out the window, which wasn't the case. So it really just does show that, you know, that this progress is working, in the sense of learning the stuff that or practicing the things that I'm learning. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. And then the third thing that I also thought about this whole scenario, and I'll wrap this video up soon, but this is something that me and my sister were talking about, where sometimes people will maybe try to get a reaction out of you, or they'll even do things where they're totally in the wrong. And even in that case, where clearly, you know, I had whatever reason whatsoever you know, this guy was completely in the wrong. If I wanted to snap on this guy, I absolutely could have, you know, I could have stopped, I could have got his license plate and went through the whole thing. But something I've been talking about recently, with a scenario that my sister was in, as well as myself, and we were just talking about how even when other people are in the wrong, that it doesn't mean that we have that we're allowed to just act out of line just for that reason. Just because someone does something against you or does something wrong to you, it doesn't all of a sudden make it okay for you to react in a way that you know, to get back at them. That is when it really shows who you are as a person the most, when you is in cases like this, where you still, yes, this guy was being an idiot and it was clearly his fault what he was doing, but that doesn't make it okay for me to call him out on it and you know, just react in a shitty way. So yeah, pretty interesting experience. Pretty interesting. This program has just been like life-changing. A couple other people that I have now going through it are already saying how awesome it is, but it's just cool to really go through experiences like this in your life, when still definitely not perfect with the way that everything is happening. Like, I'm still, you know, I still got very angry about it. I just was able to withhold saying anything, but just seeing that progress is something that is so clear to me. And it's just one of the million things that I've noticed about myself and how much I'm improving in so many different areas of my life. I just thought that was really cool. So just a few things to keep in mind. Don't get to their level, react. And yeah, just keep doing you. Other people are going to do them. You just got to keep doing you. That's all I got. So long video. Talk to you later. Peace.